some people created a website called internet. It's called Toasty Tech. I think that's their name or something like that. So I don't know the problem they have with Microsoft, but they said it's evil. So the year they made this website, Internet Explorer is the main thing, is what everybody is using, you know. And it wasn't like now when Chrome is the main thing right now, Chrome browser. But now it is that time it was Internet Explorer. So I don't know why they were saying this, but what I want you to take out of this website is that this website at that moment, at that year, back in those days, it was one of the most beautiful websites. But if you look at it right now, it's not even nice. It's looking somehow. You understand? And all the things in this website were made with just HTML, no CSS. So there's no CSS at all. So all the things they did here were all HTML stuff. And the HTML they use for all these things are not valid anymore. So you can't use them anymore. So when you are creating a new kind of website, you cannot. There's a limit to what you can get to. And one thing that I'm surprised about these people is that they did not update this website since the day they've created it. It has been the same till now. So one thing, look at this website. They did everything they did here is just with HTML, but it is limited to what they can do. So this website is limited to how modern it can be. It is limited to what they really want to do. Though they still achieved what they can do, but then look at the website, it's not really looking as good as it should be. You understand? So with CSS we can do better. So you understand, we can do better with CSS. So I just want to show you this so that you can see how website looks back in those days with HTML. I wanted to show you something else also with is a Wayback Machine to check how website looks back in those days. So I'm just going to actually do this. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. So I just wanted to see how all those websites that we have now that are great look back in those days. So I'm going to first look at Yahoo. So Yahoo is one website that if you see how it was looking back in those days, you'll be surprised the way it's looking now. So because Yahoo in those days was made with just HTML, no CSS. But now that we have CSS, you can see the difference between using only HTML to create your website and using CSS together with your HTML page. So now let this load. I don't know why it's taking time to load, but then you can find this Wayback Machine link on this resources website. So this is it is here. Use the Wayback Machine to find out whatever. So you can see it here. It's under the section 2, which is the introduction to HTML. So this website helps us to look at how a website is back in those days. So now I want to look at this website, how it's looking in this is 2023, but I want to look at it. Let's look at 2002, and let's look at it April, and let me just visit it, and let's look at how it is now. So I'm going to create a new tab and say yahoo.com. So let's put it side by side, and it's still loading. So look at Yahoo back in those days. Look at the way it's looking. Can you see how it's looking? And I'm very sure that when they created this the first time that year, this was 2002, it will be looking very nice. It will be like one of the best websites at that moment. But look at Yahoo now with CSS and without CSS. Look at how everything is. It's not looking nice, you understand? But look at it now with CSS. Everything is arranged properly. No weird colors and all those things. Look at these ones. Weird colors, weird arrangement. There's really everything is just packed in one place. And look at this. Everything. Look at the only form alone. The form alone Look how beautiful it's looking. Look at the form here. The search is not really, everything is just the same way, nothing is looking nice. So that's what I want you to know, understand about CSS. So you can you can actually look up any kind of website that has been in those days. So there's Yahoo, there's Google, there's Facebook, there's Instagram. So if you want to see how those pages look back in those days, you can use this Wayback Machine link to check out those things. So I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm just trying to show you how what CSS can do and what that CSS can do what HTML cannot do. So now let's go back to our timetable and see what we want to do. So I want to talk about inline CSS. So now I'm very sure you understand what CSS is and why we use it. Okay, I've not mentioned what CSS is. CSS, the full meaning is cascading style sheet. It is used to beautify your page, your website. So it helps you beautify your website. You can add colors, you can do all of those things. So it helps you to style your website. That's what CSS does. Then now let's look at inline CSS. So there are different types of CSS. There's the inline CSS, there's internal CSS, and there's the external CSS. Now the first one I want to talk about is the inline CSS. So I'm going to go to my code where we have my personal website and we are going to start styling our website. So let's assume I want to change the color of my website. So this is the website and I want to change it to this color. Look at the color of this one. This is the way what we are going to do right now, and we are going to style it this way. So I want to change the color of this website the way it is here. I don't like the way it is here, and I want to change the color. What I need to do is to change the background color, because this is the background. If you look at it, this is the background color. The background color currently is white, but now we want to change it to something else. All I need to do is come to my code and change the background color here. So the thing is, before you can change the background color, how do you know what part of the element in your HTML to affect in order to change this background color? Now the reason why I'm coming to the body, because if I change the background color of the body element, it's going to affect all the body. Now the reason why is because I told you in previous classes that the body tag represents this place, this white place. That is why everything we have in the body tag will always show up here. And that's why I said that if you want to show something in your page on your website, it has to be inside this body tag. So between the body opening and closing tag, you can see that everything we have in our website is between. There's nothing outside that is anything showing here. There's nothing there outside this body tag. You understand? Even though if I type something here, it's going to show up. This www is going to show up on the website, and you can see it here. But it's working does not mean it is the right way. As it is working, the browser will display it. You see this browser, let me tell you one thing about the browser. The browser will deceive you to think what you are doing is right when it's not. It is when you start using other programming languages with your code that you start having problems, or when you try to upload to the server. And I'm glad that you guys have gotten errors when you try to use the server with your code. Somebody actually texted me before that they pasted something on the server and it's saying file not found, and I had to tell him to name it index.html and all that. The browser will display it. The browser will show it to you whether you are doing it wrong or not, but it does not mean that it is right. So you have to follow it strictly to make sure that what you are doing is right, because if you don't do that, by the time you have written a lot of code, like plenty lines of code, and you upload it to the server, you start having issues. You can see the way this issue came up, that people had to go back to upload this particular thing on GitHub and then try to reload the page. So if you don't want to start having those issues, imagine this correction that we just made. We have to make that correction like 200 times in our code. That means you have to be doing that 200 times. So it is very good that you have to follow the right thing strictly. You have to follow the steps strictly. You understand? If you don't do that, you will make mistakes and you have issues. So don't rely on what the browser shows you. What you should rely on is how to do it the right way. I can see that I've removed the cell spacing. So don't rely on what the browser shows you. What you should rely on is doing it the right way. Now, if you want to do it the right way, go to the MDN documentation or the other documentations in the resources page and read about these things so that you can know what you are doing. You won't be making mistakes and be doing the wrong thing. So don't ever put anything you want to show on your page outside the opening and closing body tag. If you put it there, it will show, but by the time you want to do anything, you start having problem later in your website. So please try to follow that strictly. So now, since this body tag is what is showing on all this screen here, that means if I style my body tag and make the background color change, it's going to affect this one. So how do we do that with CSS? So what you do is you come into your body tag, the opening one, not the closing tag, the opening tag. Like I said, the closing tag is just for you to show where you are stopping the effect of whatever that you are trying to do. It is stopping here, it is closing here, so there's nothing you have to do with closing tag. So this opening tag, we talked about attributes. There's an attribute called style. You can see immediately I try typing it, it suggests me style attribute. So inside your style attribute is where you put your style, whatever you want to do with this body tag. So what we want to do with this body tag is to change the color of the background. Now what you say is, if you want to change the color of a background of anything, say background. You can see that while I'm typing it, it just show me the suggestion here, that background color. So if I want to change the background color, what I do is, when I type background color, the next thing you do is you put colon here, and after the colon you can now look for your color. You can say blue. Let's use blue for the first one, and when I change it, you can see immediately I saved this. I press Ctrl S, or you can come here and save. It changes the color of the background. You can see now. So that is how you change color of your background, any of the background of your page. So I just did that now to change the background color. So one thing I'm sure that you might be asking is, how did I know that I can use this code, this particular word here, to change the background color? Now there's no science to this, there's nothing, there's no miracle here. You understand? What we do is we go to the documentation and read about it, and that is what I've been saying. So first of all, I gave you guys this cheat sheet here. So when you click on this cheat sheet, you can see all the things you can do with what's it called, CSS here. So all these things, it's taking time to load. I'll go back to that one later. So now you can see I have a link here called MDN documentation on background color. So if you look at this documentation, let's wait. Okay, now, so this is it. What we do is we read documentation. You need to do that. You need to learn how to read documentations, to learn things. You understand? So all these documentations are there for you. Now they said the background color CSS properties set the background color of an element. Now you can change background color of anything, not just the body. But the reason why I bring this into the body is because I want to change the background color of the whole page, like the whole thing, not just one thing. Sorry about that. You can see that this place, the background color is black, or this is black. So they change the background color of the body. So the body of your website is that place, this whole place here, so that when you scroll up, there's no other place here that have any other color. The whole body color have been changed. So now imagine I want to change the background color of this my name here. So what do? I bring this style. Let me cut this thing here and change it back to white, and then let me take it to that. Where's my HR? So this H1, rather, I said HR. So this name Abiodun Bankole, I want to change the background color to that color that we just. So I'm not going to type it again. I just copy it and paste inside the H1. You can see that immediately I typed it here, it changed only this one. So you can change the background color of any element in your page, your picture, the name, anything. You can change the background color. But then that's not what we are trying to do. We just want to change the background color of the body. So now, one thing that I want to do is I don't want this color to be this color, because right now it's even looking ugly. It's not as fine as the way it was before. Now the white background is even finer than this. So if you look at the this one, the background color is different. It's not white. If you look at it very well, it may look like white, but it's not white. It's actually different. So how do we change it to this color? One thing I want you to do is, when you go to the documentation, the resources page, so I have a place where you can look for colors. So one thing, if any kind of website you are trying to build and you want to look for colors, you want something to just give you an inspiration of colors, maybe you don't have colors in your head, so there's a site called colorhunt.co. When you click on this curated color palette, this one here, you go to that site called colorhunt.co, and if you come here, you see different types of color palettes. So these are different types of color that goes with each other. So you can use this one so that you won't have a website with color riots or anything. When you pick one of these palettes, you can now use either of all these colors in your website. So the one I'm picking for this website is this one. So this one has this one has a light green, all those things here, and this is what I'm using for my website. You understand? So now for this website, I'm going to be changing my background color to this one here. So I have this one here at the top and this one here. So I'm going to be changing it to this one. You know, when I hover on it, I see the X code. So this number here is called an X code. So you don't need to start trying to cram all this code in your head. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is just come here and click on everything has their own X code here. So you can just click on each one and paste it. And then when you come here, I'm going to change my background color. Instead of using blue, I'm just going to paste that X code here. But you must make sure that you put the hash in front. Without the hash, it's not going to make sense. So this does not mean anything. So you have to put hash first in front here, like you are putting hashtag. So when you are posting a picture on Instagram, the way you do hashtag and all those things, so you have to put this hash in front. And you see that immediately I put the hash, there's a color here. It's showing me a color here. So when I save it, my background color is going to change to that one that we have here. You can see that it has changed. It's now the same thing with this one here. So that's how to use Xcode, changing your colors using color hunt palette. So this color hunt just gives you inspiration of a kind of color you want to use. So you can use any color that you feel is nice for your website using this color hunt website. Now let's assume you now want to use a particular color. Maybe you don't want to use color hunt and you have your own color, but you don't know the X code in your head. Let's say you want to create your own color palette. Let's say now you have a website and you want to use blue, red, and maybe green. Now you can see that this color hunt, they've generated their own. If you look at it, they've generated their own palettes. So you come here and pick one that has been generated before. But let's say you want to generate your own color palette. There's a site called Tint and Shade Generator. So let me go to that site and I'll click on that site, and it's called maketintandsshades.com. So what you do is, if you want to change your own color, you can come here and say you have red. Okay, I think you have to use the X code So you have to use the Xcode. So you can't use the normal color. Let me try and see if it would work, but I'm not sure. So yes, it has to be an Xcode, not this. So if you want to get Xcode for any color, let's say you want to get an Xcode for a particular color in your web page. So this is what you do. Let me try and get the website that does that for you, because I didn't put it in the resources list. So what you do is you go to I think there's a site called okay, this is the cheat sheet. So this place, download it and look at everything you can do. You can see there everything, and it's explained there, all these ones here, so you can read about it and check what these things are used for. So now let me think about that color. Okay, I think image picker does it. Image picker something. So let me just search image picker. So image picker, no, I can't find it. Let me type image color picker. Okay, yes, this is it. So when you visit image color picker, now you can pick any code, any color here, and you get the Xcode. You can see the Xcode here. So now when you come to this image color picker, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this link on in the class. Let me do that now before I forget. So I'm going to say stream, and I'm going to post it and call it okay. So I'm going to say find X color code. Yeah. So I'm going to paste the link here. So you can now go there and look for a particular color code. So what you would do is, I'm not interested. Saw this advert for me. So you can come here and pick a particular color you want, and you can see palette here. You can see palette here also. So I don't really know why this is taking time to change. So you can see it's going to show all of this. Then you can change your color to red. So let me pick this red, and you can see red here. So you can see red there, and then when you pick red, you can see the color code here. So let's assume you want to use red, blue on your website by creating your own color palette. So the color code you copy, you paste it here, then you paste it, you give space to give another color that you want. So I want to use blue also, so I'm going to use this blue. Then I also copy this code and paste it here. Oh sorry, what did I copy? Let me go back and recopy it and paste it here. So now I have red and blue. So let's say I just want to create a palette like the one we have in the colorhunt.co. So I'm just going to say make tint and shade. Now you can see that with that red color, they give me the red color till it fades into the darkest color, which is black. So this is the lightest red here to the darkest one, and then this is the lightest to this is the darkest one here to the lightest. So then they do this, the blue one, and this one. You can see the way it is here. So this is your own color palette created here. So you can now start picking the Xcode. You can see all the Xcode under them and use it in your own code. So this is your own way of creating your own color palette. So let me also copy this link and paste it in the classroom so that you guys can use it. So I'm going to say make your own color palette. So I'm going to copy the link here and paste it, so I can now post this one here. So now at the end of the day, we can now create our own color palettes. I'm just showing you all of this because you might most likely not need to create your own color palette actually. So if you you just need to look at the ones that have been created for you in color hunt. I'm trying to go back to color hunt, so you can just pick any one that is here and use it in your own website. So most likely you may not be creating your own color palette, but I just did that in case you just want to do that. You just feel like the kind of color you want is not here, you just want to do that, so you can just pick them here. So now I'm picking this color for the so this is the color palette we are going to use for our own website here. So now I've changed the background of the website, and then I want to change, the next thing I want to change is the HR, that's the horizontal row, this particular line. So I hope you guys understand how to change your background color right now using this style attribute and the value here. So let me, okay, I've deleted it. Let me go back to the color that was there. So now I want to change this HR, but the problem I'm having is that we have more than one HR color here. You know, the only background we have is just one here, but I want to change the color of my HR. That means I have to come here and say and look for the first HR. So this is the first HR. I have to come and change the style here and do whatever I want to do with it. So what I want to change is I want to change the background color to white. So I'm going to say background color, and you must see, you know, in HTML we write the attribute is always equal to. So instead of equal to, you use this colon to specify what you want to change it to. So I'm going to say white, and then you close it off with this. So this semicolon acts as the closing tag. It's not a closing tag, but it's closing it off, so you are stopping here. It's the same logic with closing tag. So wherever you want the effect to stop, you close it, but in CSS you use this one to close it. So I just want you to follow this and do it the same way, you understand? So now let me save it now and see if our style is going to change for this, but it's not changing. Nothing is happening, there's no effect, it's not changing. So what can we do? The first thing I want you to note is that even if it works, I cannot change this style for every of my HR. It's only this one that is going to affect, because I have to change it. Okay, let me do something for you now. So let me change the border to, don't worry about what I'm doing here, and then I'll also change the height to 2 pixels. Now if you look at it, it has changed to white. Can you see that it has changed to white now? Because of the things that I wrote here, it's changed to white. So now, but then it's only this one that is changing, the rest are not changing. That means I have to copy this thing on all of the HR elements. So this one, then the rest and the rest. So what if I have like 2000 HR here in my code? Will I have to be changing it one by one? It will take a lot of work. That's too much. And let me tell you one thing in programming, there's no room for repetition. You don't allow for repetition. Repetition is prohibited. So what you should do is find a way to make sure that you do it once and it will affect everything, you understand? And that is where I'm going to teach you what this called internal CSS. Now what we are doing here is called inline CSS. You understand? This is inline CSS, whereby you write your style as an attribute of a particular tag. But the problem with this is that you cannot do it for every tag. You can only do it for one. So if you are trying to do something for many tags that has the same style, that has the same, you want to make sure that everything has the same color. Like this one, I want everything to have the same color. I cannot do it with this one. This one will take a lot of stress. You understand? I have to copy and paste, and it's going to, it might even give me, it might even allow for mistakes. It might allow me to, it might affect what I'm doing. Like I might get tired and make mistakes somewhere. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to make sure that you are not using inline CSS to style something that is plenty on your code, on your page, especially when those things are going to have the same kind of style, the same kind of color, the same kind of whatever that you want to give to them. So what can you do? You should use something called internal CSS. So let me go to the timetable and show you that is what next we are trying to explain. So the next thing I want to talk about is the internal CSS.